Hello, and welcome to Inside Cottonwood. I'm your host and city manager, Doug Bartosh. Today we're here to talk about SciTech Festival, and I have with me today from Yavapai College, Alexandra Helm, and also Kelman Manis.
Good.
And I'm going to have them introduce themselves in terms of what they do here in our community. Let's start with you, Alexandra.
Okay. I'm Administrative Coordinator for Dr. James Perry, the Executive Dean of the Verde Valley Campus and the Sedona Center. So basically I support him in all of the facets of the running of the campuses, and I also get involved in special projects, and so one of these special projects is the Xplor-ology events.
Okay, sounds like a full-time job plus.
It is.
Cal?
So my name's Kelman Manis. I'm the project director for a National Science Foundation funded grant that deals with informal science and technology in rural communities. The National Science Foundation funded our grant specifically in Arizona. So we're looking at people's perspective and their opinions and how science and technology touches their lives. And is there a way for us to kind of bridge the perspective and maybe some workforce potential, ideas of economic development, kind of bringing those all together. The Verde Valley is one of the areas that we work in. Okay. So this area, we're also looking at the White Mountains, Cochise, and Graham and Greenlee counties. Okay. One of the things that we do, excuse me, the grant, it's a federal grant, so it has to have an acronym, and the acronym is RAIN, for Rural Activation and Innovation Network. And then there's a research arm and a program arm. And part of the program arm is to help convene stakeholders together, as well as provide some seed money for new programming and marketing the idea. So the SciTech Festival here, Xplor-ology, several of the other smaller events RAIN is engaged in.
Okay. So SciTech didn't necessarily come out of RAIN because there is a statewide SciTech.
Right. So about 7 years ago, in fact, I remember it very clearly. We were sitting at ASU at SkySong. There's about 75 people. And they were all brought together by Dr. Jeremy Babender with the idea that Arizona could have its own science and technology festival. And these 75 were like the foundation of it. So 7 years later, it's all across Arizona. It truly is one of the largest science and technology festivals in the nation. In 7 years, it's not too bad. It went from 100 events to 1,500 events. Wow. And Xplor-ology is one of the signature events. So there's about 30 signature events.
Okay. And so, you know, people have got to be asking, why are we doing this? Why is this important to our communities?
It's a couple of things are going on. One, it's a great way to bring people together. You know, a lot of people kind of poo-poo science, but because they think that they can't do it. In reality, it's in and around all of our lives and everything we do, from the baker that deals with physics and chemistry, to the mechanic that deals with physics and chemistry, to the surveyor that's dealing with geology. I mean, everybody has some aspect of science and technology in their lives. And also, when we look at how the world is changing, we're becoming a more technologically savvy culture, and we're a part of a worldwide movement. So our children, as they move through school and go into jobs, are actually competing for jobs against folks across the entire planet. We want to make sure that they have an excellent standing. So we're starting to see a greater push of coding. So we used to call it computer programming, now it's called coding. Coding being available. The libraries are taking an interesting tracked, where it's not just a place where you go to buy book or acquire books or look at the newest magazine, but you go there to learn how to code. Or you bring your young children in and have fun with math and science afternoon. So the libraries are becoming learning centers. And this is happening here, it's happening all over the world. This conversation is going with libraries going all over the world. So we're really at a crux, a change in how workforce is done, how economic development can be done. We need a well-trained society, and these are stepping stones to that.
So while this is, there's a lot of focus on students and young people, I mean, this is really directed towards people my age, too.
Right.
To get them to understand how technology, science really does impact our life every day.
Right. We're not just a culture of folks from 8 years old to 18 years old. That's only one section. The reality is that everybody is a part of the society, and we still have interests. I do an astronomy program up in Heber, and Heber is a very small population. A third of the town shows up. So people are interested, and it's easier to access this information now. If you want to learn astronomy, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you're curious, you should learn something. If you want to go back to school, go back to school. There's nothing to keep us from continuing our education.
And I know we use the term STEM, and could you tell people what that stands for?
Sure. STEM is an acronym meaning science, technology, engineering, and math. It was developed in the late 90s at the Federal Department of Education in an attempt to kind of bring a concept together that everybody knew we needed, but at that point really wasn't defined well. And so it's a relatively new idea, but it picked up really fast. People saw the reality of how that drew together information and different stakeholders. There are funders, national, international funders, that saw the value of having that acronym and what it stood for. And so now you see it.
Kind of a marketing piece.
It's a perfect marketing piece. Now you see the variations of it. There's an A that drops in, so it becomes STEAM.
Which includes the arts.
For the most part, it's the arts. It depends on where you are. Sometimes it's archaeology or astronomy, or
oh, really?
It depends on who's using it, what they're using it for. But with federal grants, typically they're looking at STEM because that's the one that's had the most, had basically the longest legs.
Right. And it seems like, to a large extent, that's become, we've really had the need to emphasize those disciplines because they're probably not the most sexiest disciplines in terms of, mastering those things. I mean, I'm one. I hated math, but I needed it. Yeah, I needed it.
Right.
And technology. My background is law enforcement, and when I started, I was lucky to get a handheld radio. If we had enough available. Mm-hmm. And now you look at the technology that's been integrated into that field. I mean, just about everything they do is related to technology, and so it really has impacted our life in such a significant way that it is important that people understand how we get there from where we were. If
you think about it too, 20 years ago when cell phones became more common, they could fit in the palm of your hand, and they were styled after Star Trek from the 1960s.
Right.
In 20 years, they've gone from something that's basically just a small phone to a small computer.
Yeah.
Technology changes very, very fast, and you have to be able to stay up with it.
Yeah.
No matter how much you want to push back,
right.
It's the reality of our world.
Yeah. No, it's really true. I remember when the first small calculators came out that were over $100 back in the 60s and 70s, and now they give them away as gifts.
Now it's an app on your phone.
And now it's an app on your phone.
So
let's go ahead and take our first break, and then we'll come back and start talking about some of the specific events they have coming up for SciTech.
There are people who struggle with addiction and homelessness. Sometimes it may feel like there is nothing we can do to help.
But there is. You can make a tax-deductible donation and help those in need transition away from homelessness. When you give someone a handout, you could actually be supporting an addiction.
A better life starts with better health, especially for those living in the streets.
Support solutions, not addictions. You can make a difference. Visit cottonwoodcares.com.
This is Bruce Morrow, Transportation Manager for Cottonwood Area Transit. Remember, we cover the entire Verde Valley and Sedona. Cottonwood Area Transit has you covered wherever you want to ride in the Verde Valley, all day, every day. Take Cottonwood Area Transit through Clarkdale, Verde Village, and from 26 locations in Cottonwood. With Verde Links, it's a quick and easy trip to Sedona every day. Don't forget our connectors to Camp Verde. Visit cottonwoodaz.gov for Cottonwood Area Transit and take a seat. Let's go ride!
Hello and welcome back to Inside Cottonwood. I'm your host, Doug Bartosh, and I'm here today with Alexandra Helm from Yavapai College and also Cal Manis from Rain. And we're talking SciTech Festival, and we kind of covered what SciTech is really all about. But we have some events coming up, and really SciTech, as Cal was explaining to me, used to be just a couple of months, and they'd have different events in those months. Now it's really been pushed to all year long, and so there's opportunities to get out and really experience the SciTech Festival and really understand how science, technology, engineering, math, and the A disciplines impact us. So talk to us about Xplor-ology and what that involves and everything that's connected with that.
Okay. A little history. The Yavapai College, the Verde Valley campus, has put on an expo. They did that for about 4 years, and that was a culmination of the SciTech Festival, which ran February to March, as it did this year. However, this year, due to various factors, we decided to move the event and rename it and rebrand it, and it will be happening next week, and we are calling it Xplor-ology, Discover STEAM in the Verde Valley. It actually is more than one event. The first thing that's going to happen is on May 9th in the morning, James Meza, who is a hydrological resource manager for the Arizona State Parks, is going to come to the Mingus Union High School and present during their campus assembly to all of their high school students a presentation on STEM careers. And then following that at 5:30, we're going to have a band. Sir Harrison will be joining us in our pavilion, and that will be celebrating the A in STEAM. Okay. Because the SciTech Festival in this region supports STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, and math. So he's going to put on a free concert under the stars in the pavilion on May 9th. And then our major event, our STEM event, is going to happen on Friday, May 11th. And in the morning, we're inviting over 1,000 students from the 4th, 5th, and 6th grades of most of the schools in the Verde Valley District to join us on campus and experience Xplor-ology separately from the community. So they will be coming on from 9 to 2 to go through 2 discovery zones, which will have over 30 exhibitors, pulled together by my committee, and I would like to give a shout out to Debbie Brightscrite of the City of Cottonwood, who has been extremely supportive, along with the rest of our steering committee. We have several sponsors for this event. And after that, at 3 to 6, it will open up to the community. We'll have our cafe open for snacks and drinks, and they will be able to go through all the same exhibitors that the schools did earlier in the day. The other exciting part about this event is that due to our sponsors, we are very lucky to have been able to raise enough funds to buy brand new tablets.
Wow.
And in keeping with the STEM following, we are going to be giving those away based on an algorithm. So 7 fourth graders and 5th graders and 6th graders will be drawn for tablets. And then in our community, we will have a registration, and anyone under 21 can sign up and then be drawn for 6 more brand new tablets. We've done this every year, so we've woven that back into the event. We're very excited about it. And we have, as I said, over 30 exhibitors. We have cranes coming. We have dogs coming from the police department. We have all sorts of interesting STEM hands-on events happening. So we're very excited about it.
Yeah, you know, and it sounds like it's really interesting, and it'll be a great opportunity to kind of showcase the college too.
Absolutely.
You know, and get kids used to that environment. And you know, when you talked about hydrology, I mean, my mind just kind of went crazy thinking about how important that is to Arizona and the Verde Valley in particular. I mean, we have a very complicated water system here in the Verde Valley that, you know, there's a lot of studies going on involving a lot of hydrologists.
For example, we have the Yavapai College, or not Yavapai College, Yavapai County Flood Control joining us. So they're going to be bringing an exhibit showing the kids what happens when there's development and what happens to the water as it runs off, and then they kind of help them work through solutions to how to avoid houses from, you know, from flooding. Those are the kinds of things that we're going to be offering. Which,
again, in the desert seems to be really important because it doesn't seem to absorb a lot of water.
Correct.
It runs off, and we certainly have our challenges here, as you can usually see on TV when somebody's stuck in a car in the middle of a raging stream. It's usually Arizona.
Right.
Correct.
So it is important to know that. But and the music you talked about, what kind of music?
Sir Harrison is basically blues rock.
Okay.
Mainly he plays down in Phoenix. We don't see him that much up here, so we're very excited to have him.
That'll be great.
He's a Native American, and he's going to be bringing his entire band. We will be offering for sale our student-produced Southwest Wine Center award-winning wine. We'll have soda and water and snacks available as well. Oh, so it'll be a very professional, wonderful concert. Lovely weather we're going to be experiencing as well. So we're very excited about having him come and play for us.
And certainly, if you haven't seen the pavilion at Yavapai College, it's a beautiful facility, worthwhile seeing. Let's go ahead and take our next break, and we'll come back and talk a little bit more about SciTech.
There are people who struggle with addiction and homelessness. Sometimes it may feel like there is nothing we can do to help.
But there is. You can make a tax-deductible donation and help those in need transition away from homelessness. When you give someone a handout, you could actually be supporting an addiction.
A better life starts with better health, especially for those living in the streets.
Support solutions, not addictions. You can make a difference. Visit cottonwoodcares.com.
This is Bruce Morrow, Transportation Manager for Cottonwood Area Transit. Remember, we cover the entire Verde Valley and Sedona. Cottonwood Area Transit has you covered wherever you want to ride in the Verde Valley, all day, every day. Take Cottonwood Area Transit through Clarkdale, Verde Village, and from 26 locations in Cottonwood. With Verde Links, it's a quick and easy trip to Sedona every day. Don't forget our connectors to Camp Verde. Visit cottonwoodaz.gov for Cottonwood Area Transit and take a seat. Let's go ride.
Welcome back to Inside Cottonwood. I'm your host, Doug Bartosh, and we're here talking SciTech with Alexandra Helm from the college, Yavapai College, and Cal Manis from RAIN. And what's that acronym stand for again? Rural
Activation and Innovation Network.
They have an office, I think, in Washington that comes up with those. That's all they do.
Yeah, sit around and come up with acronyms. So.
You know, and I think still a lot of people would say, why is this important? Why do we, put this on? And why is this important to us, Cal?
Well, just bridging the conversation that Alex just said about the experts that will be at this event. So there'll be flood control experts. It's an interesting conversation to have. If you've lived in the valley for any amount of time, you've seen the effects of water in places you don't want it. And there's a conversation around construction. There's new construction. What happens with the water movement? These are interesting conversations that parents can have with their children and an expert. And it's nice if the folks with, like me with gray hair are there too, because you have the actual experience of seeing what will happen or what could happen. What happens when there's massive erosion, and are there ways to mitigate that? And how do we make our towns more resilient to changes that will happen because more people are moving in? Now you have a place where you can go, and there are experts and there's fun things to do. So it's more than just talking. It's if you move this and manipulate that, see what will happen. The hands-on, it's much easier to learn when you can manipulate something.
A couple of examples of that, by the way, are we'll have our film and media arts program there, so there'll be stop animation so the kids can see how that works. When we'll have our ceramics program available so people can actually get in there with our renowned potter and lead faculty, Tom Schumacher, to do ceramics. So there's just all sorts of things for the kids to do and experience. That's why it's experience that we're going for.
And you mentioned it earlier, Cal, is economic development. One of the biggest challenges we have in this area is having a knowledge-based, prepared workforce. Because when we talk about attracting new business, high-paying jobs, you got to have that workforce to get them here. And even the kind of the work opportunities we have now, such as medical care, health care, you got to have people that are trained, educated to do that. And so, and all of that relates to STEM kind of activities. And so I know that's included in our economic development strategic plan. I'm sure every community across probably the country, but certainly here in Arizona, recognizes that need to have a qualified, ready workforce.
And one of the other interesting things too about Arizona, and the Verde Valley is part of this, is there's a real grassroots effort to solve our own problems. So we recognize that there's an economic development need. We recognize that there's a need for technology and better math. So everybody has to know math. I was a math teacher for a while. So we're starting to see this showing up in other parts of the country, that folks are they're convening, they're realizing there's an issue, they're coming together, and they're working to be innovative. They're trying to think outside the box to start solving these. So SciTech is a part of that, RAIN is a part of that. The Verde Valley is quite central to some of these things that are going on. And it's never smooth because we're breaking new ground. And so ideally over the next few years, there will be more events and more programs and more opportunities for people to engage and ask questions from experts, so we can bring in experts. So we're looking at the library. Camp Verde Libraries truly has done some amazing thing. Kathy Hellman over at Camp Verde.
No, Kathy.
She's got this great NASA exhibit. She's very aggressive, looking for opportunities. The Smithsonian Institution's waterways will be coming, I think, next year. So there are programs that are coming in. What we hope is that folks will take the time and realize that there's value in going to them and supporting them.
And again, I think a lot of times, one of the things when I became city manager that I found most interesting were the issues around water and wastewater, and how much they're connected. And again, you talk about a job that has security. I mean, because we're always going to need water,
right?
And you got to have some place to put wastewater, and again, they're connected, because the future of Arizona and probably the Southwest is reuse, reusing that water over and over and over again.
And there's only one place in Arizona that you can get a certification in that. I believe it's Rio Salado College.
Yeah, and we're looking at actually hosting certification courses here, because again, trying to find that qualified workforce is difficult a lot of times, and so you end up growing your own and getting people to understand, and students in particular, the opportunities that exist with what appear to be just day-to-day things that we all take for granted. I mean, there's a lot of intelligence behind it to make it all work for us.
Absolutely.
So
somebody's got to keep it going.
Yeah, that's for sure. Because if it stops, believe me, you hear about it. Well, tell us one more time, Alex, the dates. And I know we wanted to stress that this is free. This is no cost to anybody. It's just a great opportunity, whether you're, 2 or 3 years old or you're 95 years old, to come see what's happening in terms of technology and get a little more educated. So give us those dates and locations, times.
Okay. May 9th at 5:30 p.m. we'll have the Sir Harrison Band located in the Mayberry Pavilion on the Verde Valley campus at 601 Black Hills Drive in Clarkdale. And as you said, it is completely free. Everyone's welcome. Then on May 11th, beginning at 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., again on the Verde Valley campus, we will have Xplor-ology. And again, everyone's welcome. You won't be able to miss the signs that we're having this big event. Again, completely free. We will have the cafe open, so if people want to come in and get a bite to eat or whatever while they're exploring the campus and the activities, they're welcome to do that.
And you mentioned the Southwest Wine Center and your award-winning wines.
And they also will be open during Xplor-ology. So for those who are over 21, of course, they can experience sampling. Right. But those who are under 21 can also go up there and get a tour that is a fully functioning winery. So the tour is really exciting. You get to see how grapes are grown and how they are made into wine and then served in the tasting room.
And again, if for no other reason, we have Yavapai College in the Verde Valley, which is a tremendous asset. And if you haven't been up there to explore the campus and get around and see what's going on, you need to do that. It is a valuable resource for us in the Verde Valley, and it needs to be well supported.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us. And again, get out and participate in the SciTech Festival. It'll be going year-round, but these sound like really neat events, and I'm certainly going to make every effort to get to them myself. Thanks for joining us on Inside Cottonwood, and come back and join us again soon.